you will be able to explain socio-cultural causes of maladaptive behavior and many more other things we'll try to discuss in depth. So what is etiology? Etiology in abnormal psychology means it is the study of abnormal behavior causes. So why this is happening? What are the reasons? That is causes. What are the reasons why this is happening like this? So is there any history or biological issues or defects or XYZ? There are so many issues which will be studied under etiology of causes for abnormal psychology or behavior. So what is the key question? The key question is about, why does someone exhibit abnormality, maladaptive adjustment, or mental illnesses? So goal for mental health professionals, understand the causes of abnormal behavior. Several schools of thoughts are involved in this. So it is not just one way of understanding, it is multifaceted. No, understanding should be there to understand about causes of maladaptive adjustments. So this, several schools of thoughts means explaining origins and suggests treatments for abnormal behavior. So causes of maladaptive behavior are discussed in three main categories. One is biological causes, the other one is psychological causes and socio-cultural causes. Okay, so we will assess all these things in depth. So what is biological cause? Biological causal factors can be understood in five different categories. So one is neurotransmitter and hormonal imbalance in brain. The other one is genetical vulnerabilities, where the genetical weakness or when genetics are weakening, then some sort of abnormalities can also be occurred. All these things we'll discuss then. Constitutional liabilities, brain dysfunction and neural plasticity, and the physical deprivation and disruptions. So each category includes conditions affecting body function and behavior. These factors are independent but often occur in different combinations in people. So what are these? In biological factors, we mainly focus on transmitters and hormonal imbalance. What are neurotransmitters? These are the chemical messengers which communicate to the different parts of the body and which originate from different organs of the body. Okay. Now, what are they? Brain neuron communicates via synapses using chemicals called neurotransmitter. If you see, pay attention to your extreme right where, neuron is there. Each neuron is communicated with the use of chemical messengers. So neurotransmitters can either increase or inhibit that likelihood of neuron firing. So whenever something, or somebody touches you, if it is a good touch, bad touch, based on that you reflect or react. So based on that, neuron firing could happen. Okay. So if imbalance of neurotransmitters, for example, norepinephrine, then dopamine and serotonin, GABA, can lead to abnormal behavior. So it won't function as it should function. So psychological stress or reuptake of issues can cause these imbalances. Triggers can be in any means. once people start growing, you can notice these differences. If neurotransmitter transmitter imbalance is there, it is very easily identified. They're prone to anxiety, stress, etc. Now coming to hormones. What are hormones? Hormones are produced by endocrine glands. They act as a chemical messenger. So you can notice, to the extreme right, you can notice, pineal gland, pituitary gland, hypothalamus, then, parathyroid, thyroid, thalamus, adrenal gland, then pancreas, kidney, all these things that includes ovaries and testes. All these produce hormones. So these hormones, hypothalamus links the central nervous system. This is hypothalamus. This is linking the endocrine system affecting the pituitary gland. It is very close to the hypothalamus and pituitary gland. You notice this area. This is in the brain, right? So hypothalamic pituitary adrenaline cortex axis. Stress activates this system, leading to production of epinephrine and cortisol. Cortisol, is a one second. So, so malfunctions in this system can lead to psychopathology. Hormonal imbalances in sex hormones, that is androgens, can contribute to maladaptive behavior too. We'll discuss all these things in the next coming slides in depth. So, in continuation to biological causes, say genetical vulnerabilities, where genetical transmission of the traits or vulnerabilities occurs from one generation to another generation. If something is lacking or genetically weak, individual transfer the weaker genes to the next generation. That is what it means. So heredity is a key factor in disorder like depression, schizophrenia, and alcoholism. So genetic influences are complex and influenced by internal and external environments. So inherited defects can be directly interfere with the normal brain function and leaves individuals susceptible to several mental disorders. So, as you know, inherited defects, which are hereditary, carried forwarded from parents, uh, can definitely interfere with the normal functioning of the brain and definitely susceptible to several mental disorders. Example, phenylketonuria, PKU, causes mental retardation due to a genetic deficiency affecting metabolism. Phenylketonuria, if you can know, it is very easy to notice, child having phenylketonuria, that is, the protein uptake is not sufficient or it cannot digest certain proteins. So child will have, a thin brownish color hair, and they will also get some rashes when some protein is, not suitable to their body types. So this is one sort of, retardation can occur when genetical deficiency is there, especially with the metabolism. So other genetical defects can disrupt brain biochemistry regulations too. So now chromosomal abnormalities. So chromosome contains gene and are found in cell nuclei. Chromosomes, you all know, how many chromosomes will form, human body. I mean, to have a proper child, 22, 23 pairs, right? So chromosomes contain genes and are found in cellular nuclei, and abnormalities in chromosomal structure or numbers lead to various disorders. For example, let us take an example of Down syndrome, where a trisomy in the 21st gene, three chromosomes instead of two are joined or clubbed, that causing mental retardation. So sex chromosome anomalies, like can lead to complications of abnormal behavior. Then constitutional liabilities refers to the detrimental characteristics, either innate or acquired early prenatal or reassembling genetical traits, including physically handicapped and temperament among other traits. What are those? See in the next slide. So these are the 23 pairs of chromosomes which will combine to form the next generation will carry forward these genetics or genes or chromosomes. So this is X and Y chromosome determining the sex chromosome. These are all autosomes. So if anything wrong with this, for example, as I said, sex abnormalities. If a gene is, chromosome is additionally added, for example, XXY to the end of extreme right bottom, you see rounded this will cause, sexual abnormalities. So this is a syndrome where, you'll have some issues. Similar chromosomal abnormalities, deletion of a chromosome when joining, this particular area. Look at to the your extreme left, the four. See, there are chromosomes. Instead of this, one section is deleted. So this will have a abnormality. Similarly, duplication. Additionally, a portion of this portion is been added to the chromosome, that is duplication, will have abnormality. Similarly, inversion, the chromosome is inverted, that is also a abnormality. Similarly, substitution and translocation. These are all the different types of abnormalities. Now, let us check, these are known causes. Etiology is, known things which we can identify based on the symptoms. This one, it is very difficult to identify the symptoms, but you can see they occur all the sudden, idiopathic. So these are different types of disorders or diseases which can occur in a child over a period of time, all the sudden, and it is very difficult to understand why it has happened. Then later on, it can be assessed, analyzed, and come to conclusion. Maybe it is difficult to treat at the later stage. So here, parental. One second. Yeah. Now, these are the examples which I gave you, and see, this is XX chromosome, then anatomical. One second, I'm not able to see this. Yeah. So infection also causes, disorders that is infecting the brain or any organ which releases hormones or neurotransmitter deficiency or autoimmune problems like, HLA-B26 is the uh, autoimmune disorder which can be carried forwarded from parents to child, uh, where, they are prone to many diseases. Immunity is compromised. So this is an example of, XY chromosome, how they can be carried forwarded to the next generation. And you can see a normal homologous chromosome and other chromosomes, all these things. Just try to save it, or maybe you can revisit the YouTube and check all these things. Sperm with DNA fragmentation. DNAs are, broken here. So there's so much, free radicals are moving, or oxidative stress. So many things which can impact child uh, when these differences are there. Now, biological causal factors, physically handicapped, why this happens, and temperament also. For example, what is physically handicapped? Causes by embryological abnormalities or environmental conditions before and after birth. It is not just, before birth, it is even after birth. Prenatal, postnatal, uh, all these things. Okay. Common issues, low birth weight or 5 pounds or less, linked to mental disorders, and learning disabilities, emotional and behavioral disturbances also. So causes of low birth weight, nutritional deficiency. If child is not, as per the standards, then definitely if it is below nutritional deficiency or some disease or retardation, radiation exposure, and drug, severe emotional stress, alcohol, tobacco, etc. Higher incidences in mothers of lower socioeconomic status, especially mothers in a poor, economic condition will have what do you call a low uh, they will not be in a position to have whole diet or uh, nutritional food. As a result, child will not get what they should get, to form their uh, complete body structure as a natural process. So there are chances child will get such deficiencies if malnutrition is there in parent. Similarly, that carry forwards to the child. Now, newborns react to temperaments. Temperament newborn react to differently to the stimuli due to constitutional and environmental factors, not just genetics. It is not about genetics. It also different situations, scenarios will arise. Child reacts to them. In turn, they will develop different types of temperaments. Temperaments, you would have learned it in the fourth semester. That is how individuals react to the situation. That is like five major big five traits, something like that. Okay, so neurotic, psychotic, extroversion, introversion. These are the temperament types. Newborn temperament include reactivity and self-regulation influencing personality development from 2 to 3 months of age. So these are the uh, big five dimensions of personality traits, adult personality traits, like what do you call openness, neuroticism, agreeableness, extroversion, and conscientiousness. So example, fearful children, behaviorally inhibited, have a heritable trait, increasing risk of anxiety disorder in later stages of life. So biological causal factors, brain dysfunction and neuroplasticity. So what is this? When a brain, as long as you try to educate brain as much as possible with the new work, new learnings, new skills, puzzle solving, such things are happening regularly, brain will develop. Otherwise, it will stop increasing itself or growing, or the strength of the brain is decreased. So that is called neural plasticity. So what is a significant brain tissue damage can increase risk of psychopathology. So tissue damage, how this can occur? As I said, infection to the brain or accident or brain lesions are rarely a primary cause of the psychotic disorder. So lesion means where some defect or uh, problematic area where brain has some issues, that is called lesions. So brain damage in elderly people can lead to abnormal behavior and increased vulnerability. There are chances that these people are very easily prone to disorders. Uh, so gross brain pathology and observable defects in rare in people with abnormal behavior. So conditions of the birth, prematurity and low birth weight, as I already discussed. Maturity, neonates born before 37 weeks of gestation lead to causes of neonatal mortality. There are chances, it is not easy for child to survive too. So low birth weight, that is defined as 5 pounds, 5 pounds 8 ounces or less. That is called low birth weight, 5 pounds 8 ounces, or 2.499 kgs, 2 point or 2.5 kg. Premature and low birth weight infants have high incidence of neurological disorders and mental retardation. neurological disorders and mental retardation. So anoxia, it is a condition where child will not have sufficient oxygen. So anoxia, lack of oxygen at birth rate birth can cause permanent brain injury. Fetus receives oxygen through umbilical cord, but must breathe independently after birth. So infants, especially uh, premise or susceptible to respiratory problems due to the fewer air sacs in their lungs. What does that mean? See, when oxygen intake is not proper, so definitely that is the reason when a child is born immediately after cleaning, doctor pats the child so that they cry and release the whatever the intake of air is there that shows that is where the expansion occurs and child starts breathing from themselves. So if you see why how oxygen is very important for human beings, if you consider as a this image as a different gases, so we can see oxygen is taking 65%. To the extreme right corner there is a human figure. Check that. 65% is the oxygen, then 18.5% is carbon, 9.5 is hydrogen, then 3.5 nitrogen, and other chemicals is just 3.5. So oxygen is very important, crucial for human beings. Uh, that is just even before the birth, child needs oxygen, which is taken through umbilical cord. So different viewpoints on the causations or causes. So we'll check, these are some, I've given some examples too. Medical model, sorry. Yeah. So emphasizes organic condition, conditions impairing brain function, leading to psychopathology. Psychoanalytical model focuses on stress situation that threatens the individual and causing anxiety. Do you recollect what is psychoanalytical model? Anyone? Anyway, you'll know about it. You'll come to know about it in the next slides. I've explained each and everything in detail. Focus on stress and situations. So behaviorist model, attributes psychopathology to faulty learning, acknowledged by all major psychosocial models. So humanistic and existential model attribute abnormal behavior to blocked or distorted personal growth. Then linking maladaptive behavior to unsatisfactory interpersonal relationships. Interpersonal relationships, you would have understood it clearly in the third semester. Now, socio-cultural viewpoint highlights the pathological social conditions, that is poverty, racial prejudice, discrimination, violences, etc., as a cause of abnormal behavior. Now, causal factors in abnormal behavior, necessary causes. These are very important to assess. What are a condition that must exist for a disorder to occur? This is necessary. A condition is a necessary that must exist for a disorder to occur. What is that? With example, we understand. A genetic mutation in the HTT gene, the gene HTT, is necessary to cause for Huntington disease. Without this mutation, the disorder cannot occur. So, necessary cause is that HTT gene mutation. As I said, HLA-B26. HLA is the gene type. HLA-B26. So similarly, HTT gene is a necessary cause for Huntington disease. So without mutation, disorder cannot occur. So that is a necessary condition. Sufficient cause, yes, a condition that guarantees the occurrence of the disorder. A condition that guarantees the occurrence of the disorder. Then, what does that mean? Severe traumatic brain injury can be sufficient cause for certain type of cognitive impairments or personality changes. If the brain injury occurs, these changes are guaranteed, though they can also arise from other causes also. So, if injury occurs, there are chances this can occur. If the injury occurs, these changes are guaranteed, definitely. Okay. So, then contributory causes. It is not 100%, as these can contribute to the elevation of the disease. What does that mean? A condition that increases the probability of developing a disorder. So, experiencing chronic stress increases the likelihood of developing anxiety disorder. It is not necessary. That is, not everyone with anxiety has chronic stress, nor sufficient. Not everyone with chronic stress develops anxiety. So, it is contributory factor only. It contributes to the necessary and sufficient factors. Now, reinforcing causes. A condition that maintains maladaptive behavior already occurring. A condition that maintains maladaptive behavior which is already occurring. Example, avoidance behavior in someone with a phobia reinforces the and maintains the phobia. If somebody is avoiding, public places or something like that, so that reinforces and maintains the phobia as it prevents exposure and desensitization to feared objects or situations. So avoidance of the behavior in someone with a phobia reinforces it. Already phobia is there. Then
Will
feared of,
increase.
yes, feared of object and situations will definitely elevate
Yeah.
the disorder. That is it. So now causal factors of abnormal behavior, psychodynamic perspective. Yesterday we discussed in depth about conscious level, pre-conscious, super, unconscious level. So we'll try to run as early as fast as possible. Try to understand in depth at the same time. Okay. Now psychodynamic perspective. Most of you know that father of psychodynamic theory is Sigmund Freud. He emphasized unconscious process in behavior. So, what is unconscious? A large hidden part of the mind contains repressed memories, desires, and experiences. As you can see, this, desires mostly they are there in the area of id. To the right, there are iceberg is divided into three segments. One is superego, the other two are ego and id. And I've segmented them separately. You can notice them. Now let us understand what is it. Unconscious material seeks expression through dreams, fantasies, and slip of tongue. When something is not unexpressed, these individuals may dream them or fantasize them, or while speaking, they out of slip of tongue they reveal them out. So psychoanalysis aims to bring the unconscious material or thoughts to awareness to prevent irritational or maladaptive behaviors. So, psychodynamic perspective is about unconscious things. So, structure of personality, the Sigmund Freud described structure of personality as id, ego, superego. Id is source of instinctual drives present in infancy, right from the childhood. They are present in the human being or child. So, ego, it's a mediator between it demands an external reality. It mediates what is right for you right now is ego, super ego. It internalizes societal taboos and moral values. ऐसा ही जीना है. This is how we have to live. These are the morals, values. I have to go with them. That is what he has learned from the societal taboos and moral values. Now, behavior results from interactions of id, ego, superego. Behavior results from these three combinations, not just one, three combinations. So intracyclic conflicts arises from conflicting goals of id, ego, superego, potentially leading to mental disorders if unresolved. If these are not addressed, then definitely these can lead to mental disorders. That is what psychodynamic perspective says. Now, anxiety defense mechanism and unconscious. I'll try to give you the examples too. Anxiety, generalized fear, generalized feeling of fear and apprehension, common in neurotic disorder. Then acts as a warning of real or imagined dangers, promptly corrective actions. So ego defense mechanism, anxiety is that, generalized feeling of fear or apprehension in common neurotic disorder. Ego defense mechanism says, irrational perspective measures taken by ego. Irrational. There is no rationality. Perspectives measure taken by ego, including denial, displacement, इग्नोर करना और किसी के ऊपर दिखाना and project करना, projecting ourselves onto something else, and rationalization and repression and sublimation. So these are the ego defense mechanisms which we'll be learning in fifth. I think you learned in fourth semester, actually, your third semester. Right. Now, behavioral perspective. Behavioral perspective opposed psychodynamic perspective, and it came into existence because it was developed in early 20th century. They said, unconscious is nothing. We don't see anything. So in reaction to the unscientific method of psychoanalysis, behavioral perspective came into existence. It focused on observable behavior, what we can see. जो भी दिख रहा है ఏమేం కనపడుస్తుందో దాన్ని చూసుకొని looking at what we can see, that only they said, controlling the stimuli for understanding human actions. Focused on observable behavior and its controlling stimuli. What is controlling that behavior for understanding human actions? So core theme, learning plays a central role in shaping behavior. They said, learning right from the childhood, role model. Children learns from parents, teachers, everywhere. Similarly, animal experiments and animals, showed that, and Ivan Pavlov proved that, pairing an unconditional stimulus with an unconditioned, pairing conditioned stimulus with unconditioned stimulus to elicit a conditioned response. So that is, conditioned stimulus is well, unconditioned stimulus is meat, conditioned response is salivation. This is how Ivan Pavlov, proved that these behaviors can be controlled. So explaining psychological emotions, responses like fear and anxiety, drug-induced arousal, etc. Now, operant conditioning. Thorndike and Skinner. Thorndike said it is he's the first person to coin this term, instrumental conditioning. Later, the same thing was renamed by B.F. Skinner as operant conditioning. Here, how it works, learning through reinforcement. The mechanism is nothing but learning through reinforcement. He said, positive and negative. Positive reinforcement rewards the behavior, negative reinforcement stop the behavior. So shapes behavior by delivering rewards and removing aversive factors. Now, behavioral perspective, in simple example, it is already there, but still, we'll check with an example, try to understand classical conditioning. Think of a child who associates the sound of a dental drill, dental while drilling something, drill with pain from the previous procedure. He already knows that previously he has gone through that procedure, so leading to anxiety. And at the mere sound of the drill, even without any pain happening, this explains how some phobias or fears can develop. So once child gone through the process and he felt the pain, and that led to anxiety. Later on, when he hears that sound, without even going through pain or anything, immediately he fears phobia or fear. Operant conditioning. Consider a student who studies harder after receiving a good grades or prize rewards. That is nothing but positive reinforcement, or avoids procrastinating to escape the stress of last minute preparation. That is negative reinforcement. It's illustrated, behavior can be shaped through reinforcement. Now, cognitive perspective. Cognitive perspective deals with distorted thoughts. Empirical focus. It focuses on uh, results. That is empirical uh, data and analysis. Then patterns of psychopathology. What is that? We'll try to understand through examples too. Distorted thoughts. Maladaptive emotions and behaviors results from distorted information processing. The behavior results from distorted information. The information is completely jumbled or distorted while processing. So this can occur through distorted thoughts. Empirical focus thoughts are considered behaviors that can be studied and modified through therapy. So based on the data, thoughts are considered behaviors that can be studied and modified through therapy. So patterns of psychopathology research highlights how cognitive distortions maintain disorders, that is negative memories, bias in depression. A person, whenever recollect something, immediately negative thoughts arise, and that can lead to depression. So this theory says, uh, one second, I'll just, yeah, I have few more examples, but anyway, see, depressed individuals tend to remember negative information more than positive information. That is more than positive or neutral information, which reinforces their depressed state. So that is what it meant. Now, applications, yes. Treatment, cognitive behavioral approaches effectively treats various disorders by addressing distorted cognition. And here, Albert Bandura, he focused more main on, self-efficacy. So cognitive behavioral, he is a cognitive behavioral theorist, emphasized the cognitive aspects of learning, and introduced the concept of self-efficacy. The belief in one's ability to achieve goals, which is central to cognitive behavioral treatment and aimed to improve self-efficacy. For example, depressed individual often recalls negative information more than the positive, and reinforces their depressive state. So that is the reason Albert Bandura, focused on self-efficacy and building more positiveness through which is central to his cognitive behavioral treatment, is improving self-efficacy. Cognitive perspective examples, given so many examples: avoidance, substance abuse, self-harm, then overreacting to situations, aggression, procrastination, maladaptive dreaming, daydreaming, perfectionism, setting unrealistic high standards for oneself, leading to chronic stress, self-criticism, and burnout syndromes, etc. These are the perspectives of cognitive perspective examples. Humanistic perspective in understanding abnormal behavior. Key concept here is that humanistic perspective sees human nature as inherently good. They always believed human nature is inherently good, and focus on present conscious process rather than unconscious or past influences. So it emphasizes each person's capacity for responsible self-direction and criticism, and simplistic research on causal factors of human behavior. That is self-direction. Now, one of core values, individual, it focuses on more on individual growth and therapeutic goals, prioritized self-actualization and personal growth over curing disease or disorder. Therapeutic goals, psychotherapists aim to liberate individuals from limiting assumptions to help them live fulfilling lives. Now, Carl Roger coined the term self-concept, highlighted individuality, shared characteristics, values, and choices in guiding behavior. So he is a pioneer of concept of self, emphasizing individuality, shared characteristics, and values and process of choice of guiding behavior. So here, the humanistic psychologists believe that psychopathology arises from obstacles of uh, personal growth causes by ego defense mechanism, unfavorable social conditions, faulty learning, and excessive stress. Then existential perspective. What is this existential perspective? It says, origins, how it originated. Existentialism originated in Europe, intellectual movement, at the time of Europe intellectual movement, influenced by thinkers like Martin and Soren. It shares similarities uh, with humanism and valuing individual uniqueness, seeing meaning, and emphasizing freedom and self-direction. Core theme is that sharing similarities with humanism, that is values individual uniqueness, focus on seeing meaning and the freedom of self-direction, and emphasize struggle and viewing essences by as shaped by the choices. The key concept. What is the key concept here? Absolute freedom. We have absolute freedom. Even the choice is not to choose, which reflects our values and shapes our lives. Existentialism emphasizes on importance of finding meaningful values to guide our lives. Yeah. Now, non-being, that is nothingness, where it says, non-being is nothingness is the key for existential theme, representing death as the inevitable fate of all human beings. Death is inevitable. Awareness of death can cause existential anxiety, promoting the search of meaning. So, implications of abnormal behavior. So, failure to confront existential issues such as meaning and values can lead to wasted lives, and maladaptive behavior, due to which, my life is gone waste. What, I'm not able to do anything. This is what happening. So they start, getting addicted to some sort of alternatives to subside their anxiety and stress levels. Overcoming existential anxiety involves like living a meaningful fulfillment life and spiritual maturity. Failure to confront existential issues can lead to corrupted and wasted lives, contribute to abnormal behavior. Now, the next, interactional. What is interactional? Core concept. To understand maladaptive behavior requires examining multiple interacting factors. So, interactional approach suggests that understanding maladaptive behavior, different interacting factors. These factors include health, parental expectations, self-doubt, past experience, values, cultural background. Then what is that it highlights? Behavior is influenced by interactions of personal characteristics and external conditions, and different theoretical perspective contributes to our vulnerabilities and resilience. So the approach helps to explain why maladaptive behavior occurs in some individuals, not in the other individuals. So it offers a framework of understanding specific disorder like schizophrenia, depression, and specific relevant factors. Identifying relevant factors again. Now, early deprivation and traumas. What is this? Hmm? Anyway, time is running. Let me complete it. Okay. Definition says, parental deprivation includes the lack of basic needs, that is food, shelter, and emotional support, attention, and warmth. So parental deprivation is very, very important, forming abnormalities. Thus, if this deprivation happens, the consequences can be fixation, trust issues, dysfunctional relationship. So fixation, difficulty and moving past unresolved stages in developmental development, and uh, challenges in forming secure relationship. Always they have trust issues. ये होते तो ये क्या होगा? I'm not, the child has, a food and shelter issue, and attention warmth was never there. So they form trust issues. They will never trust anybody. Always uh, they look for themselves, or selfish nature can be formed. Now, dysfunctional struggle with interpersonal patterns. As they have seen, they were not having proper food, or shelter, attention, warmth. So the same thing can be seen in their relationship with others too. And the institutionalization of the effect, lack of warmth and stimulation support, children can lead to same thing, resulting in unfavorable long-term outcomes. That is, emotional and social development will not happen properly. So that can lead to rigidness, or antisocial sort of thing can be occurred in male children, or isolation. Then abuse and neglect, attachment patterns. Abused children develop a type atypical and disorganized attachment styles, behavioral issues, exhibiting inconsistency and abnormal behavior with caregivers, and interpersonal risk, a struggle with achieving adaptive outcomes in the relationships. Now, maladaptive family structure and patterns, yes, it impacts, what is it says, family environment greatly affects the children's development, either fostering support or conflict. Maladaptive behavior in the children can result from the overall family atmosphere and their relationship with the parents. So types of families leading to maladjustment is inadequate family. What does it mean? Family characterized by inability to cope with the ordinary problems of family living. Very simple problems too. Lack of physical, psychological, or both resources. So unable to cope with the ordinary family problems. Lack of, okay. Disturbed family. Family characterized by parents with personal instability and destructive interactions. Then antisocial families with the parents partly or overtly or covertly engaged in behaviors that violates the standards of societal norms. Then disrupted families characterized by incorrect, incomplete, whether as a result of death or divorce or separation or some other conditions. Faulty parenting is very important. Everybody should understand it. So faulty parenting style includes, disciplinary approach, and can significantly impact children's behavior in development. There are, four parenting styles. One is authoritative, authoritarian, and permissive, indulgent. Then negative, uninvolved parenting. What does it mean? I've given separately the with the characteristics and impact. So parenting, authoritative parenting style involves warmth and clear boundaries, leading to energetic and competent children in dealing with others. Authoritarian parenting is high on control but low on warmth, resulting in conflicted and irritable children, often with aggressive behavior due to severe discipline. घर में तो अच्छे रहते हैं, बाहर जाके लड़ते रहते हैं हर एक आदमी से और बच्चों से. They always fight in the
outside world.
yes. Similarly, passive, permissive, indulgent parenting. Parents, parenting is high in warmth but low in discipline. So associated with impulsive, spoiled, and aggressive behavior in the children. Now you would have noticed, a lot of children, driving Lamborghini and hitting, hit and run cases are happening. So parents will give so much, that they don't know, children don't know what to do. So they engage themselves in, like, hitting somebody. They don't feel anything, anti societal. They hit and they'll just enjoy. अरे उसको ऐसा लगा, उसको ऐसा लगा, and something, they don't feel that pain themselves because they have given lot of too much everything. So no discipline at all. Similarly, negative, unresolved, involved parenting. So lack of warmth and control that can lead to disruptive attachment, moodiness, low self-esteem, and conduct problems like peer relationship issues and academic performance difficulties in children. Pathogenic interpersonal relationship. Uh, what does it say? Variability in capacity, variability in capacity. People differ in their ability and love and be loved. So people vary their capacity to be loved and loved. It is not same, like, they you can't, you expect something and you don't, get that back. So that also lead to interpersonal relationships, and intimate relationships are crucial for fulfilling emotional needs. Similarly, what are the challenges here? Relationship can also bring disappointment, pain, and trauma. Negative relationship patterns like marital instability, breach of trust, collusion, and conflicts can lead to maladaptive behavior. So such patterns can result in maladaptive behavior affecting emotional and psychological well-being. These are the important points like marital instability, breach of trust, collusion, and conflict. Socio-cultural factors says, it says, social culture factors shaped by thousands of years and social evolution significantly influence behavior and contribute to abnormal patterns. So pathogenic influence, disasters, wars, poverty. Disasters says, accidents and natural catastrophe can lead to depression and other abnormal behavior. Wars, privation and death, grief, and social disorganization contributes to mental disorders. Poverty, economic disparities, and unemployment increases the incidence of conditions like antisocial personality disorder. Social discrimination, gender and minority prejudice affects employment, education, and housing. Discrimination against women's rights and feelings of uselessness in older individuals are particularly alarming. Not just, you would have noticed in Japan, a lot of old people are there. So, state is taking care of them, no children to take care of them, and they're getting into the condition called hakikamora, where they isolate themselves. These behavioral shift, these factors play a significant role in the transformation of normal and abnormal behavior patterns. Now, so the in concluding, I think that concludes the topic. I have covered in depth most of the things. So what have we covered today? Abnormal psychology studies the causes of abnormal behavior, known as etiology. Various schools of thoughts explains the origin of abnormal behavior, considering necessary, sufficient, contributory, and reinforcing causes. Biological and psychological and socio-cultural causes are analyzed for effective treatment. Medical model focus on organic condition, impairing brain functions. Then psychoanalytical model highlighting the stress situation, eliciting anxiety. The behaviorist model attributes to psychopathology, to faulty learning, and the humanistic and existential Model C blocked personal growth as primary causes. The interpersonal model points to the unsatisfactory relationships as the root of maladaptive behavior. The socio-cultural viewpoint underscores the role of pathological social conditions like poverty, prejudice, discrimination, and violence in abnormal behavior development. So these are very important questions. Describe the chromosomal aberration and other things, and explain the two perspectives of psychoanalytical and behavioristic in detail. So that is it. Thank you so much for joining me. Tomorrow at the same time, I'll see you. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.